They have the hard-hitting analysis.
I'm anti-injury, so maybe this won't work out.
Kyler's only playing one tight end this week, so that's probably going to help him out a lot.
They tell it like it is.
That's not what I needed, Grandma Nut.
All right, the hipster fantasy player.
I don't do anything.
Their listeners love them.
Found all your charts boring, to be frank. Caitlin was the star of the show.
They break down all the statistics.
20 points. That doesn't quite add up. Maybe he had 93.
This is the Snick Snack Sports Podcast.
Here we... All right, Snickers, help me out.
What's going on, all you sports fans out there? Ready for another week of NFL football? How are you doing today, Nate?
Doing great, Nick. How are you tonight?
Doing great. We're in the great player here, Chase Vinovich, retired a year ago today.
Yeah, both wearing Patriots players, the greats.
Yeah.
So, their best running back in history and their best whatever he played.
Linebacker, yeah.
Yeah. So, another exciting week for you guys. We got one of our commissioners on the show. We got some interesting news to share, and we'll break it all down. But our bets last week is what everybody's like to start. What happened there, Nick?
Yeah, it was Garrett Wilson versus Devontae Adams, new Jet versus quote-unquote old Jet. And neither of them were very intimidating. Nate was texting me halfway through the game when they both had 1 point, and it was a pretty close game. But then Devontae didn't score anything in the second half, and Garrett Wilson won. So Nate's up 5-1 right now.
That's right. Yeah, it's you still got time to catch up. The bets are about halfway done.
And don't call it a comeback.
But yeah, Garrett Wilson did prevail. It was the new hotness going to catch Aaron Rodgers' eye, and not yet. I mean, they actually had the same amount of targets I saw, but Devontae wasn't coming down with them.
Yeah.
But this week we decided to go kind of new hotness versus old veteran again.
Yeah, this time we're moving over to Kansas City, Missouri with Big X Xavier Worthy versus old DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, kind of a very similar situation, except for Worthy is a little bit younger than Wilson. DeAndre Hopkins is about, I think, about the same age. He's both, maybe his last season kind of situation. Yeah, in this case, what was interesting also is that poor Kenny, our league leader in points scored anyways, is forced to play them both in his wide receiver spots. They're not both going to succeed, Kenny, but we each picked one, and this time you decided to go with the player who's been around longer on the team anyways, with Worthy, right?
Yeah, no, Xavier Worthy, a lot faster than DeAndre's ever been. Doesn't have the same hair, the same supportive mom in the stand that DeAndre always gives the ball to, but it's going to be fun. I think DeAndre is obviously a Hall of Famer, but I think he's quote-unquote injured. We'll see if that actually means anything, and he doesn't have the playbook yet, so I think he might get 10 plays like Cooper did last week, and Cooper just happened to score a touchdown, so hoping he doesn't there.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it may all come down to who gets the touchdown. Mahomes has not been throwing a lot of touchdowns this year. He's been throwing a lot of picks. I don't know what's up with him, but they're winning, so no doubt.
He's also never lost at Allegiant Stadium where they're playing against the Raiders this week, so I'm assuming the Chiefs are going to win. Positive game script there. We'll see.
Yeah. So another fun one to follow this week, and let's take a look at the standings. So the season has shaken out very interestingly, I think. In terms of the standings, Kyle is still undefeated. Katie is still unwon, I guess we would say. But there seems to be a pretty solid group of playoff bound teams with Ducky, mid-tier Nick, Matt, or Kenny, and Kyle. And then there's a group of teams that are not out, not at all, but are going to have a very good second half. That's your team, Kyler, Shane, and Katie. But me and Carson are stuck here in the middle, and we're playing each other this week. So we're the bubble teams, and we're probably going to be going back and forth the second half of the season, would be my guess.
No, it's definitely really interesting, especially Ducky's dropped down a couple places after his abysmal performance last week, which was unfortunate for him.
Last
That,
week might have been the season low for any team.
hmm. Oh, Shane might have something to say about that, but we have to look at the numbers.
Yeah, we'll have to check that. But now looking at the points for, it's a little bit of a different story in that I'm actually one of the leaders of the pack here. Me and undefeated Kyle have pretty much the same amount of points scored this year.
Hmm.
So I don't know what's up with that. I have a losing record. He's undefeated. We both scored about 810 points.
Yeah, I mean, you have more points against you, but you don't have that many points against you compared to, I guess, everyone above you. But
I think when it comes down to it, I've had a lot of close losses and a lot of big wins.
yeah,
Um,
where my losses are big and my wins are small, which doesn't help me at all with the 200-point gap there.
but you have almost the same record as I do. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, and there is, definitely you're in the solidly in the middle pack, I would say, in terms of points scored, although it's a smaller group.
Mm.
And there isn't really anybody who is really scraping the bottom of the barrel in terms of average points here. Shane is, oh, actually, it is Tyler now who is bringing up the rear in points scored. For those 2 wins.
Yeah, it's we're going 110 points a week is a win. So
Hmm.
everyone under 770 right now is honestly below, the average there.
That
So
is a good way to think about it. Yeah.
seems like Ducky currently are batting above average there where they shouldn't be, and you're obviously should have a better record based on your points for there.
Yeah, it seems like that really Kyle's going a little bit above the trend. I really should be more of a 4-3 team, maybe 5-2.
Mm.
But it's okay. We got a second half, and I presume that I'm going to continue to dominate. So but last week there was some interesting matchups here, like there always are. Yeah, actually, you're right. Because of Derrick Henry, Ducky didn't get as bad as I thought he might. I forgot that Derrick Henry scored like 30 points.
Yeah, no, he had 62 going into Sunday football, Monday Night Football, whatever. So
But the rest of his the rest of his lineup was a barf. Um, and unfortunately, yeah, still lost to Carson. He deserved to lose. Mid-tier Nick totally blew out John, even though John set his lineup.
yeah,
Um,
you got a big
and
win this week against the worst team in the league. Came at a good time there for you.
yeah, and again, worst team in the league by record. She actually has 4 teams that are doing worse than her in points scored. So,
Mm.
poor Katie has been a little bit unlucky here.
Yeah,
Had a below average week, but not a terrible week. People obviously win with that number. For example, she would have beat Carson, who got a win.
yeah, exactly.
Um, but nothing really came down to the wire this week, I guess, now that I'm looking at it. Um,
None in the final scores there. Obviously, Kenny got a big week. Um, Kyle won with less than 110 points for like the third week in a row, I want to say, against Shane, who has, not a great team there. And yeah, Matt got a win against me with my quarterback not playing. So that was rough. But we got good vibes going, and we're gonna talk to our defense. Get ready for next week here.
yeah. Um, and so that's we're looking forward to having Matt on the show. We're gonna get him on in just a second, but before we do, we got to talk about some news.
Mm. Yeah, there was unfortunately a decent amount of injuries last week. We'll start with Thursday Night Football. What just happened? Cooper Cup, Puka Nakua came back, both scored a touchdown. They're looking good. We got a couple guys out for the season, unfortunately. Chris Godwin got hip drop tackled and out. Lord Voldemort out for the season. Aiden O'Connell out for a few weeks. Ayuk can be out for a few weeks. Mike Evans can be out for a few weeks until week 11 officially. We got a big trade in the NFL. Another big top tier old wide receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, going to the Kansas City Chiefs. That's part of our bet here, like we were just talking about. We got Aiden O'Connell out for a couple weeks with a hand injury, but then they signed Desmond Ridder off of the waivers. He was not on the Falcons anymore, which I found out. But that's gonna be good. And then of course Tua's back, and there's a new nickname I heard this week for Jeremy McNichols, the third string running back on the Commanders. Is Sticky McNichols. What do you think
Yeah,
about that?
I like it. It's for some reason it rings, and Sticky McNichols stuck himself right on Ducky's bench after he joined us 2 weeks ago on the show. And he very proud of himself for picking him up after we all realized that there was some big I think what was it, Brian Robinson was out that week.
Yeah.
Turns out that didn't really matter. So
Yeah, no, he was off the team as soon as he got on it, basically. So, but yeah.
uh, so
You got
oh, sorry,
add
go
this
ahead.
week here, Nate?
Yeah, we have a quick word from today's sponsor
Nice.
coming right at you.
If you're tired of knowing all the stuff that's in your food, this is for you. Mystery meat meals are essentially your traditional TV dinner, minus the labeling and nutritional information that just gets in the way. You may ask, well, what exactly is in there? What if I don't like it? How many calories are there? The answer is, I don't know, you don't know, and do you really care, you fat slob? Ignorance is bliss, and so are mystery meat meals. Cooking them is a cinch. Just throw them in the oven at some temperature for whatever amount of time. Bam, done. All mystery meat meals are hand-packed by disadvantaged youths at the Perkins School for the Blind. We found their small hands and excellent sense of smell make for the best food packers in the industry. If you want to give mystery meat meals a try, go to beatmymeat.xxx and use promo code SausageGuy69 to get 10% off. We ship to 194 countries, with the Netherlands being the only dirty, pretentious, self-righteous cucumber-eating exception. Any differing opinions on the Dutch will be seen as an attack on us, and they will be met with a swift and decisive response. Remember, SausageGuy69 for 10% off at beatmymeat.xxx.
Wow, I'm
Excellent.
glad that code is still good after a year or two.
Yeah, no, they're still, we talked to Meat Snacks and we said, give our fan base some deals, and they were delivered once again. So very excited to see that. And now let's please welcome our commissioner, Matt, to the show. All right, Matt, how you doing?
Fantastic. How are you?
Doing great. My team had a big win last week. Your team has been very good of late, or should I say your bikes team?
Yes. Yeah, my bike makes all the decisions, really. I just kind of leave it up to the bike. I spin the wheel, makes all my roster decisions for me. The rear wheel makes all the commissioner decisions for me. So, if something happens, it's playing the rear wheel of my bike.
Yeah, the Pat Sajak method. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with your track record in the league, I don't blame you for resorting to proxy decision
Whatever
making.
works.
I mean, it's working. You have, I think, the second or third biggest points scored this year. You've been on a tear, and yeah, obviously, maybe pushing the points here and there in your favor. Might be worried that you helping Ducky as well. There's been a lot of gates coming out about him. Some suspicious standings changes. Some late come-ins.
There's no suspicious thing. If you just clicked on the damn link I gave you at the beginning of the year, you would have clearly saw how that tiebreaker played out.
The problem is, Matt, that I refuse to read propaganda.
That is the ESPN documentation. That's not propaganda. That is documentation.
All right, wake
ESPN's
up,
never done anything
sheeple.
wrong.
Wake up, sheeple. Documentation. Okay. I'll believe it when I'm in first place. But
We all know that will never happen.
but so yeah, let's take a look at your matchup this week, Matt. Things have been looking quite good for you, which is of course why Mattgate has been what everyone's been talking about. But yeah, let's see. Here you are against. Oh, this is last week.
Yeah, a tough matchup this week though against Kenny, number 3 against number 2 team.
Yep, here we are. Yeah, this is a big one. And why is Kenny gonna lose, Matt?
I mean, he probably sacrificed his entire fantasy team on the way through the Vegas airport, so I'm really not worried about it.
Is Kenny in Vegas right now?
He was in the Vegas airport last night. I don't know if he's still there, but if he's still there, they're certainly going to lose. It's hard to pass all those gambling machines in the airport on your way off of a plane. You're like, I'm in Vegas, might as well gamble.
Yeah, he definitely gambled by keeping Puka on his bench there. But I don't know if you're also talking about the Chiefs playing in Las Vegas this week. He has both of the starting wide receivers on his team currently.
Yeah, that was an interesting trade.
Yeah,
Interesting decision to. I think that's just poor timing. I think on his part, he makes that trade, and then the next day Hopkins gets traded to Kansas City. I think that's just poor timing,
Mm.
more than anything. But I mean, I think it is a bold call to start both of them. I could be eating my words on Monday night, but who knows?
yeah, we were looking at that before the show. We're like, who could he have played instead? Obviously, he could have played Puka, but I had Puka in our drunk league, and I also didn't play him because I didn't realize he was playing. I wasn't paying that close attention on Thursday. And besides that, looks like Lazard is out. I suppose he could have played Christian Kirk, but I don't know. Not an inspiring choice, of course.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
there's no good option there. And I am the world's largest Christian Kirk fan, right? I drafted him and I cut him. If I'm cutting Christian Kirk, there's no hope for Christian Kirk. I frankly, Brian Thomas is the only Jaguar receiver worth having.
Mm.
Yeah, and you've got him.
I do.
And yeah, you actually have some tough decisions to make this week. And so tell me why the bike decided to take out Drake. He got you the win.
Yeah, there's only so much I can do to try to help Snickers out. I thought surely Drake May will help him out here. This game simply means too much. And when you look at the projected points, the Jets defense is an unkind matchup. I didn't think the Jags defense last week was like a horrible matchup for the Patriots, and it wasn't. Drake May got 20-ish points and got to be happy with that as a rookie quarterback, right? He's playing on 500 yards, 5 touchdowns. Got to clean up the interceptions, but he's a rookie quarterback. You got to live with that. I didn't think it was a massive step down. Obviously, Lamar Jackson was like the highest point scorer in total last week. I didn't need the extra 15 points. And that comes back to bite me in tiebreakers, so be it.
Yeah, that's one of Katie's strategies. She doesn't like to win by more than a couple of points because she thinks that she's wasting them on other weeks when she needs them.
Mhm.
Is that what you're thinking too?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to play Drake May. At a certain point, I just wanted to play him. Felt like it was a pretty safe week. No offense, Snickers. So I only had one quarterback on my roster until 2 weeks ago. So I didn't feel like I needed another quarterback until I was like, oh, he has a bye week. And I realized that we also have a bye week. Same with the Ravens bye week. So I'm going to have to figure that one out.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you won because Jaden Daniels went out in the first quarter. If he stayed in, Marcus Mariota had like a top 5 finish last week.
But I also had Brian Thomas get like 25 points on my bench.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I see. I mean, I think you're one of the few teams probably who's not playing Rashad White this week, even though he's like the only player on that team still playing.
I don't need him. I simply don't need him. I love my wide receiver depth. I am concerned about my running backs. I think Nick Chubb could be a league-winning pick if he actually performs. Because I got him so late in the draft, but I am concerned when McCaffrey comes back rumored to week 10 at this point. Because I have a bye week problem week 10, so I need Jordan Mason to play week 10.
And I'm hoping that Chris McCaffrey takes his spot there.
No, I'm week 11. He can have it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think I do need a running back that is more stable than Jordan Mason moving forward. So I have a plethora of wide receivers that I am willing to part with for the right price.
Yeah. I mean, Nick Chubb kind of got healthy at the right time. He didn't play last week, did he?
He did.
He got a
touchdown, like 30 yards, and he's into it. I think I don't anticipate him to play well against Baltimore. That running defense is too good, but I think the week after he'll be fine. So I think down the stretch into the playoffs, Chubb should carry the running back room of my team.
Yeah, I got to admit, Matt, your team's looking very intimidating right now, especially with the fact that you've got all these guys on bench who a lot of teams would be like their best player at that position.
It honestly is like an embarrassment of riches because I'm like reading stuff about who to play. Like, yeah, wide receiver 2, wide receiver. Like, I have 3 wide receiver 2s. What do I do?
Yeah.
It actually is not a great position to be in.
Well, I will say that if in my team, I was in that position maybe 3 weeks ago where I had all the riches at running back. I had like six guys in my team I was happy to start, and that has just evaporated on me. So that's why I didn't trade him away.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of your team, Nate, that's one of the matchups I was really looking at because you're going up against Carson, the 6-7 matchup here, and Carson's a 20-point buffer on you after Thursday night football. But you got K9, you got Kareem Hunt, you got Tony Pollard,
Yep,
and
those
you
guys
got
are
some bad
still
running backs on
looking
your bench. But
pretty solid, but Devin Singletary's job has just been zapped up. Zach Moss has gone. Rico Dowdle, can't trust him yet, and those are my other three.
hmm
So, I mean, none of them are terrible. I mean, the two of these guys I would play, but I wouldn't be thrilled about it. I'm not super thrilled about Tony Pollard either because he's playing Detroit, who is another one of those defenses you don't want to play running back against.
yeah,
But
and you're going up against the Bears defense. We were talking about a pre-show that you were embarrassed that you had to drop them, and Carson picked him up playing him against you right now.
oh, I didn't notice that he did that. I thought that they hadn't got picked up because they didn't get picked up on Wednesday. They must have just got picked up today or
Mm.
Thursday. We'll see. Yeah, against that's right. They're playing Washington, who I'm not used to thinking of as a powerhouse. But if Jaden Daniels is back, I'm not so sad that he's playing the Bears
They
this week.
they've already rolled out Daniels.
Oh, they did? Okay.
Yep.
I'm a little behind.
No, they
Um,
do have Marcus Mariota, who is the second best quarterback in 2015 draft. Go
well,
Ducks.
the
Dude,
Bears might be actually a pretty decent choice, I think. But yeah, this matchup has a lot of stakes because Carson is 4-3, I'm 3-4. We're the 6, 7 spots in the standings. Um, he got out to a good start with Kyren Williams, but I'm pleased to see that even with that, we're like 50-50 on the projections right now.
mm. So you think you'll be able to topple him this week and move up to his spot there?
Yeah, I've had a few good weeks in a row. I'm worried that I'm due for a down week, but I no buys this week. I have a lot of my best players out there, apart from Nico Collins, of course, needs a couple more weeks to get healthy. Um, I think
Yeah.
the Chargers was a shrewd defensive pick. They haven't gotten negative this year. They're playing against the Rattler, so
Mm.
Nick, can you scroll down on your lineup? Okay. I was really
yeah.
hoping Nico was going to play. I could yell at you for having an active player in your IR slot.
Mm.
No, he's still got a couple more weeks, unfortunately. I think when I looked at him last, it said he was expected to return on, like November 12th or something. Um, but yeah, my bench, which looked like a stout bench just a few weeks ago, because Dontavian Wicks was so exciting. Now he's kind of eh. Ricky Pearsall, I just picked up. I'm excited to see what he can do. And Calvin Ridley, maybe he'll turn it around now that his you know, DeAndre Hopkins is out of town. Not that DeAndre Hopkins was doing that much.
Yeah, Calvin Ridley's definitely been a disappointment ever since he got suspended a couple years ago. But
He has his flashes. Last year he was better than this year so far.
mm.
Um, but looking at your matchup, Nick, this is another one that we wanted to highlight this week. Kind of, we picked each other's matchups because you're playing against Shane. It is a bottom half of the league matchup, but your name is Shane is amazing. What's going on?
Yeah, as you guys know from previous years, we've been following footy, Australian rules football, for a couple of years now. And Shane won the overall team. His team won, got actually first and second place. So we're all going to give him $5. But he said if you change your name to Shane is Amazing in fantasy football for a week, you don't pay him any money. And I decided to do that the week that I'm going up against him, try and psych him out. Be a lot of fun and save $5. So
Could be a good tactic, but could rally the troops. What would you say if he were to beat you this week? Would you have regrets?
I don't know if he's going to be able to beat me this week. He is not playing Anthony Richardson, which is probably a good thing on his side. But yeah, looking at his team, got a lot of youth, got a lot of vigor there, but not a lot of scary picks going up against my stack team here that almost beat Matt last week if I scored 50 more points.
Yeah, things have been brutal for his team. Some of his best players, I just noticed Mike Evans, obviously injured. Deontay Johnson apparently injured. I hadn't heard that yet.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, Amari Cooper maybe has been given some new life. It's he's been forced to play Tyler Lockett. I don't think Tyler Lockett's done hardly anything this year. Let's take a look. I mean,
He hasn't
okay,
been that bad, but
35. Yeah, he's a wide receiver three. Okay, yeah, he's not as he's only had like 2 weeks where you're happy you played him.
Yeah. I'm excited to go up against Isaiah Likely after Shane dropped $50 on him in week one. That was a lot of fun, and he's obviously not necessarily lived up to the performance yet.
Yeah, that's another player. I mean, so he didn't play him week one because he was on my team week one.
Yeah.
And then yeah, only 1 week where he actually got something out of him. Still somehow the had 10 and 7.
When you
Yeah.
score like 20 points in week one, it kind of helps. Also, I think tight end usage has been down across the league. With
Yeah.
tight end
10 and
points
7 doesn't mean that
yards.
much.
No, yeah, Mark Andrews, I was just looking last week. He's obviously on my team and I keep playing him. He scored like I think 0 points week one, scored 0 points like weeks 4 and 5 or something. He's still tight ends 8 or 9.
Mm.
Yeah, I had Frymuth in there. I'm like, I'm displeased with Frymuth in there. He's like 6 points a week, and he's like wide receiver or tight end 10. I'm like, how at 6 points a week?
Yeah.
Yeah, is this you might know more about this than I do, Matt, but is this like a strategy change that's going to sustain itself or what's going on there?
I don't know. I don't have an answer.
I mean, it's really not easy to determine because tight ends were up so much last year, and then start of the year at least they were down so much. The top 10 tight ends drafted scored way less than Isaiah Likely did the
But
first week, all
you
put
have
together.
you have seen a lot of teams, a lot more teams playing cover two.
Mm.
And Mel Kiper has an epic ESPN rant about cover two. Everyone should
Yeah.
watch it. He hates it.
Yeah, he wants to get rid of the whole
So I think
defense.
that fifth DB that cover two needs, right, that's going to the tight end at this point. So now you have a tight end on a physical safety, and that's not an advantageous matchup to throw against.
Okay, well
Yeah.
You
that's a
rather throw
narrative
it
that
down to
makes
your
sense.
running back who's being covered by a linebacker or like wide receiver two or slot receiver who's probably against like a nickel corner or like a free safety and man-to-man coverage.
Yeah.
And why does he hate cover two? He thinks it's ineffective or he thinks it's bad for the game?
He thinks it's bad for the game. He likes a lot of offense, so he wants to see points, more points. Cover two effectively drops the safeties way back, prevents the home run shot.
Yeah, so
I
you
see.
can't just do the long bombs all the time that Brady used to do a lot.
So I mean, but I feel like it would be disingenuous to just outlaw a strategy like that. The strategies work and the offense adjusts and then the defense adjusts and all of a sudden you get it back.
Yeah, and I think we're at the point where the defense is adjusting to the offense. I think offensive coordinators are smart enough to figure this out. I don't know if it'll be this year that they'll figure it out. They're clearly throwing slant routes like no one's business
Mm.
underneath, which is why you see wide receiver twos, and that's why I'm not worried about Garrett Wilson, right? That Gonzalez is covering Devontae Adams on Sunday, and Garrett Wilson's going to run a slant against whatever Jones we have on him, and he's going to torch us if they decide to throw the ball. So I would be very concerned about Breece Hall going against me. The Patriots defense just looks uninterested in stopping the run.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. Coming up this week here, but yeah, another thing with cover two is that running backs have been so much more explosive this year, getting
Yeah.
big 30-yard runs. Someone was saying that Derrick Henry, Saquon, so far this year are making people swing back to where they were a couple years ago. That running backs do deserve huge contracts now, and we'll see how that goes in the offseason.
Another defender back, 2 or 3 defenders out of the box, and all of a sudden you have a Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, freak of nature leg athlete in there, and run over your edge rusher no problem. And
Well,
you need that
that's
extra person to tackle.
well, that's the thing about football is every year is reactive, and so no one's ever right because next year they're going to adjust. Well, I don't know what it's called when they specifically strategize around that, but then the long ball wide receivers all of a sudden are going to be like, we should have been drafting them first round.
Mm.
So no, it's interesting. I don't know why we can't just take that into account. But we always seem to
Read
be
the
1 year.
minds of the coordinators who are paid millions of dollars to figure out the game of football. Easy
Uh,
enough.
But let's take a look at the offers report. I thought this was a bit of a fun one this week, a very active week. I'm not sure you were too active on it, Matt. I'm not seeing you
I was
show.
not. I have adopted a different strategy this year. It's been working for me. So
What's your strategy?
I don't want to disclose my strategy. I will say I used to be very concerned about value. I am no longer concerned about value.
Well, that sounds a little bit consistent with what's been happening with my strategy. I definitely have seen some, some different strategies come out. For example, I think everyone's noticed that Ducky has been extremely active this year. I have no idea how he still has money. Somehow he seems to spend $30 every week, but he's not making any big bids. He's just picking up, about $10, $5, sometimes up
Yeah,
to
I mean,
20.
my strategy went back to the draft. I did not care about value in the draft this year, and it's worked out for me. So I'm just gonna keep doing that. I'd love to see $21 from Juwan Jennings, who I ended up again dropping. I just didn't need him.
Yeah, no, that Jawan
And
Jennings is really the story here because you dropped him after he was the best wide receiver on the season so far 1 week. But then
I
Kenny picked him
never
up.
actually played him.
Yeah,
I never played him.
which stinks
He sat
after
on my
it.
bench for 3 weeks.
Was it 38 points he scored 1 week?
It was 45 the week I picked him up,
40.
and then he's
Okay.
done jack crap since.
Yeah, but the more drama is Kenny picked him up for $21 instead of picking up Keenan Allen, and Juwan Jennings has already been ruled out this week, so he's not actually playing, even though he's the number one waiver target according to the projections there.
Yeah, I saw him. I was like, crap, Debo, and as I dropped him, then Debo and Ayuk went out. I was like, crap, I just had their receiver, and I saw he was also hurt. I was like, oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
Victory.
Yeah. Kenny definitely could have used Keenan Allen this week. And as you see here, Kenny invested $14 in Keenan as well. But because he had tried to drop Justin Fields for him too, he didn't get him. So I got him for $3. And he may not play on my team, but I'm glad that Kenny doesn't have him.
Yeah. Yeah, a
Um,
lot of defense, a lot of small bids. Like I said, Ducky picking up Jalen McMillan for $6. He was a hot name this week. Obviously with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin not playing.
hmm Yep, and just seeing how the season's gone now, I know a lot of people have been mocking my pickup of Kareem Hunt a few weeks ago. He's been like the running back like 3 in the league since that happened. So
Mm.
even though it was like a 5,000% overspend, I I'm sticking with it. I chose right, everyone else just missed out.
Mm.
Um, a lot of defense is getting picked up this week. We were talking about. We don't see it here, so that's why I think that Carson picked up the Bears yesterday, probably. But I picked up the Chargers. Becky got the Lions, who have been good. Kyle got the Ravens, who have been good. Not really sure why those teams are on the waivers, but maybe bye weeks
I
or
mean,
something.
I feel like kickers or defenses are like kickers, right? You don't only an idiot rosters 2 kickers or 2 defenses,
That's
Yeah.
unless
true.
you have someone on a bye week you don't want to drop. But like, if you have 2 active kickers or 2 active defenses and you're out in the playoffs, you're an idiot.
No,
That's funny. Why'd you bring that up, Matt? Is there someone that has 2 active kickers on their team right now?
I don't know.
it sounds like you might know though, Nick.
There, Ducky we're talking last night. He said that we should make fun of Kenny for having 2 kickers. It looks like he doesn't. Looks like he.
Yeah, it was Nick Adams has 2 kickers, and Katie is allowed to have 2 kickers because she loves kickers. So we don't want to take the kickers away from Katie.
He does love kickers. Yeah. Okay. Will
So
Record
she can have 2
and Brandon
kickers,
Aubrey.
but anyone else that has 2 active kickers not in the playoffs is an idiot.
Yeah, now that she's 0-7, have we considered letting Katie play a kicker in the flex spot?
No, but I'm open to it. That's a great idea, Nate.
Do you
I
have the
do
power to
think
do that?
I could. And it can actually go to Katie's team. I think her team can fix itself this week. I know she is worse than the Patriots, which we spent a long time trying to figure out a good name because she had this really long thing about being worse than the Patriots. It was a pretty sad time. But yeah, I think she got Swift back off a bye. She kind of got screwed by Tua getting hurt, so I took out Tua and Tyreek Hill. So with Tua coming back, she gets Tyreek Hill's points back, and she has Tua and Josh Allen at quarterback. I think she could have a strong second half of the year. Obviously, at a certain point, you're not going to make the playoffs because you're 0-7. But I do think she could be a force to be reckoned with in that bottom half bracket with that roster. She just had like a super unfortunate string of injuries.
Yeah, as you see here, yeah, some bad luck because she has the highest points against in the league, and she actually is eighth in terms of points scored. So
Yeah,
she's not that bad.
yeah, her team is a lot better than her record shows. I do think come like loser bracket time, that is a team to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Now quickly, Matt, let's get your opinion on the trade that happened this week. Obviously you commented a little bit that Worthy ended up having its value go down after he ended up on Kenny's team. He sent away Bucky Irving, who now looks more valuable based on the injuries that happened. Um, who won that
I
trade?
thought that was interesting. I thought it was an interesting trade. I was like, that's weird, but whatever. I know there was some concern from Nick over that trade. I talked it out with Kenny. It was mostly a reaction to losing Godwin for the season, right? He needed a wide receiver. I know that Ducky was really concerned about Nick Adams kind of making multi-week, multi-stage trades that border on collusion. Just that he was offered a trade to trade a player to his team, and then kind of say you play Kyle, and then we trade back. So that's where his concern was. I was like, Kenny's just being Kenny and making poor decisions.
So you think Kenny lost the trade, is what you're saying?
Yeah, as evidenced by Kansas City trading for DeAndre Hopkins less than 24 hours later.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. Just
You
yeah, so,
traded away an RB 1.5 for a wide receiver 3.5. I mean, that's just Kenny being Kenny.
yeah, he seems to be the trade master in a bad way. But
Yes.
he always stands by his guns on the show. Now I do see that our timer is notifying us, so I should close this out. But great to have you on the show, Matt, and Nick and I will see you all next week.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone.